Hey everyone, welcome to Pixel Stories. In this week's video, we're going to talk about one lens that I carry across all the time, and that's the moment macro lens. So I have been shooting with mobile phone for a long time right now, and especially macro mode shoots. And you can see these blocks here as well as this video here, which I shot exclusively with OnePlus mobile phone and some macro lenses. But so far, I have been buying the low cost macro lenses because I never thought that I have to invest in $100 or 10,000 rupees macro lens for a mobile. So, but the problem that I faced with the low cost mobile lenses are one, it always lacked the clarity, especially when it comes to macro shoots. You need the details, right? But the constantly I face an issue that on the edges, at always almost all the time, it gets blurry when you use low cost macro lenses. So I had to crop it to the middle so that I have the full clarity on the image. And second thing, the color quality loss, and that's another common issue, especially because I'm shooting macro, because I'm getting close to a living subjects and then shooting it. It loses the color quality. It becomes very dull. The colors comes dull, or there is a blue tint that attached to that image, which has always been a problem when I was using other macro lenses. And third thing is dynamic range loss. That's another thing. When I was shooting with macro lenses, if I don't have a strong light on the subject, almost on all the cases, there is no dynamic range of image. It gets very flat, and even if I'm shooting at JPEG mode, it used to get flat. So I most of the times go with DNG raw format in my mobile and then later edit it. So that became a requirement when I was shooting with macro shoots, and that's not always possible when you want to just shoot it and then edit it and then post it. Not all the time you will be able to uh, shoot what you're seeing, right? In other photos, if you're not using lenses, you just look through viewfinder and then you shoot it, you know what you're gonna get. But because you're shooting in a raw, I have to just shoot it and then later post process it to my way. And when you're just looking at a mobile phone and then editing it, not all the time it comes out the way that you wanted. So these are the few things that I noticed when I was shooting with the low cost macro lenses, and you can check out this blog for my comparison of different macro lenses and my suggestions of work around that as well. So I thought I will give it a try with this macro lens because it has always been in my mind to buy this lens. So I thought since the lockdown started, I thought I'll just give it a try, and I ordered the Moment macro lens. I couldn't get it in India, so I had to order directly from the shop site, Moment site in US. And yeah, surprisingly, within a week, 1.5 weeks, they deliver it to India. So it's a good deal. Unlike other lenses, you can't just buy the lens, you have to buy the case and the lens. Because the lenses are screw type, so you have to buy the case that's made for your specific model. So that this also means if you end up changing your mobile, you'll have to change your case as well. So in total, so the lens costed around $100 and this costed around $30. Yeah, so around like 13,000 rupees was the total cost. So I ordered it to see how it works, and surprisingly, the results has been really good. I'll tell you what are all the positives that I find with this lens and also the negatives that I find in this lens. First things first, glass on this lens is really good. This means there is no blurring out, there is no clarity loss when you shoot with this lens. Even if because it's a 10x and you can go to very close and then you can get a zoomification, and yet there is no clarity loss. And second thing is there is no color loss as well. I never faced that a color loss happening when I was shooting this lens. whatever you see, you almost get the same colors on your images as well. So it's a really good lens to invest on. And third thing is dynamic range as well. The details that comes out of this lens are magnificent. I have to give it to that. I started shooting with a macro. I started shooting details with this lens within the last 2-3 months. Yes, the subjects are limited, but I've been shooting with whatever I can and whatever I see around, and I started shooting it, right? So, and I have always 100% happy with all the images that I shoot with. It's always delivers. So yes, if you want to buy this, it's really a good bet, especially if you're shooting with smartphones continuously, and if you're shooting macros as well, and you can invest on this lens, it's worth the buy. Now let's talk about the negatives. It's not really negatives, but what I consider as a limitation for the genre I shoot. I mostly shoot amphibians and living subjects with my macro lens, and considering this is a 10x and I use 1+60, I face this one issue. Why that 1+60 matters is because in 1+60 the lens is in the middle compared to Samsung or iPhone where the lenses are in the corner. And why that matters is because it's 1+60 and the lens is in the middle and I had to get really close. What happens is the light gets blocked by the surrounding space. So when you get really close to take a shoot, and you almost end up being on the shadows. The subject always ends up being in the shadows, and that's a worry. Unless that you're shooting this way, if you're shooting anything upside down, it is always a problem. And especially for whatever I have been shooting, I have to shoot it on a tabletop, which means I always end up shooting this way. And the problem is I have to use an additional LED light when I was shooting this. There is a positive side to it because I am using an additional light and I have the control over the light. I always get the best quality out of this lens, but I am not sure how this gonna perform when I am shooting outside in the when I am in the field where I don't have a liberty to patiently set up lights or patiently move closer with an additional light for when I shoot subjects. I haven't tested it and I didn't get an opportunity to travel in the last one and a half months or 2 months. But soon I am planning to travel micro shoots. At that time I will be using this lens, and let me try on the field how it looks and what are the problems that I face, and I will put up another video on that same. So far that's one thing that I find as a limitation with this lens. Apart from it, it's a really good lens. And Moment also has other lenses, and I'm thinking of going for 58mm lens, which will give me a real view when I am shooting it. So especially when I shoot people or on the streets, it's going to be really helpful. That's another lens I'm going to consider buying. If I buy it, I'll put up a video about it. And this also comes with the lens hood, which is also a diffuser. So, and you can just pop it up in front of the lens and you can shoot it. And because you end up lighting from the side or this, it avoids flare and also softens light to the subject if you're shooting upside down. So if you're thinking about buying a lens, just go for this lens. It might sound costly in the initial time, but when you look at long-term benefits, this is a much better investment than any other lenses that you buy. Because when you buy a 1,000 rupees or 2,000 rupees lens, it will break within a few months, and also you end up with low clarity images. Whereas this lens is made out of metal. I have dropped it like a lot of times within the last 2-3 months, and there is not even a scratch in this lens yet. It looks as if new, and that's because it's a metal. It's made out of metal, so you don't have to worry about breaking that lens. So, and it also comes with a front cover, so the lens also is not going to get damaged when you are dropping this as well. So yes, it has a lot of positives in it, and it's a worth investment to do. So yeah, that's it. I'll drop a link in the description as well. Again, this is not a paid promotion. I'm not gonna get anything out of it even if you buy. And because I have been so happy with the performance of this lens, I'm suggesting you to invest on it. So yes, if you're shooting macro photography with your mobile phone, go for it. Don't even think about it. Yeah. Thank you for watching. If you are into photography or if you're learning photographer, please subscribe to the channel and click on the bell button.